Hello, I'm Jennifer Witt, Director of ProjectManager.com. Well, welcome to ProjectManager.com and today's whiteboard session. Well, believe it or not, companies are actually hiring again, and part of the project manager role is to participate in job interviews. And one fallacy of project managers preparing for interviewing people for their projects in the roles is lack of preparation and a few other techniques I want to share for you that'll ensure that you get the right person on your team. So number one, I want to share with you today how to run a job interview. So I think there are 5 important steps. One is preparation. Really being clear yourself before the interview or actually engaging a potential participant for the interview is really being clear on the role. What role is it that you want this person to provide, and what are the expectations? What are the expectations on their experience, their training, their knowledge, the expectations of the project? Are you going to need them to be there after hours? What is it that you really expect from that person, and really being clear? Number 2 is actually running the background checks. So prior to any interview is really people who submit their resume is doing a background check. You can easily do that by LinkedIn now. Go to LinkedIn and search for the person's name, and you can look at their background and see what's their work history, do they have any recommendations, who are they connected to, any other groups they may be participating in. Look and see if they're active in any of the project manager groups, or if there's a certain technology or background that you need that person in. See if they're connected. Also, you can do Google. I love doing Google on people's names because I'm always shocked at what I find. And most of the time I'm shocked in a good way, because if I Google someone's name, I may find out, wow, I didn't know that person was a writer, or maybe they're a speaker, or maybe they have been quoted in certain other industry publications. So you might find things that the person has in their tool set that you may not be aware of, and maybe they haven't had an opportunity through either speaking with you or through their resume to communicate that. So I like going in knowing who that person is, and that gives me a leeway into the conversation with that person. It makes me feel more comfortable that I know about them before the interview, and it makes that person more comfortable too, seeing, hey, that they actually had an interest in me too. So the other one is the interview structure. How are you going to conduct the interview? Are you first going to do a phone interview? One of the things I've tried to do over the past couple of years is do a phone interview before I actually brought the person in face to face. If it is, I mean, some of your potential people may be remote. They may be in another country or in another city, so the face to face may not be an option anyway. But I always like a phone interview for several reasons. Number one, if you try to schedule a time, are they prompt? Are they actually available at the day and time you say? If they can't be available, do they contact you to reschedule? If you call them, are they available? You find out little things like that about a person before you ever even engage with them on the phone the first time. But when you do the interview, is knowing, are you going to have a panel? If it's a face-to-face interview, is it going to be you one-on-one? Is it going to be a panel? Who's going to be there? Are your technical team members going to be there? Are the business unit people going to be there? Some of your stakeholders? You know, knowing beforehand, how many times have you shown up at a site and you think you're there for maybe a 20-minute, 30-minute interview, and you end up being there for a couple hours? Well, I don't know about you, but I have my schedule set. So if I'm an interviewee, then I like to know going in, do they need me for 20 minutes, 30 minutes? I don't like to show up and then go through the whole business shaking hands with people maybe I didn't expect, because as an interviewee, they want to be prepared. They want to be prepared for who they're speaking with and what they're going to be talking about. So out of courteousness, give the person an idea of the structure of the interview so they can be prepared, and likewise you can be too. Then the actual interview process. What is that interview process going to be? Have you ever shown up at that interview and the people interviewing you, they don't know who's speaking, so it's kind of that awkward moment of, Well, we're glad you can make it. Well, let's see, who's going to ask? Oh, what's your name? Well, what are you doing here? It's very impromptu. It's very informal. No one knows who's guiding that process. So as you, a project manager, you need to know the structure, who's going to be asking the questions, and knowing what responses that you're looking for. And as they're answering, having in mind, what kind of person is this? Did they give me very detailed answers? Did they give me very intuitive answers? Are they an intuitive person or very detailed? Are they an optimistic person or pessimistic person? Just being aware of their responses give you an idea of who that candidate is. Then the next steps. It's important for you going in to know what the next steps are. And for the person too, being clear is letting them know what time frame will you be making this decision. Will they hear back from you in a day? Do you need them right away? Will they expect to hear back from you in a week? And then letting them know next steps. If they are chosen, like is there another step in the interview process? Will they be interviewed by other people? And then what would be the employment process once they are brought on board? But those are some of the things to think about just in preparing for an interview to make it fun, but yet letting you be prepared and let the person be prepared. Because remember, as a reminder to you as a project manager interviewing these people for your team and project, they are interviewing you too. So if you seem scattered, unprepared, not knowing really what you want, those people are evaluating. You may not be a project manager they want to report to, and it may not be the project or the environment they want to participate in. So 3 reminders, 3 key words I think are important in this is clarity, expectation, and action. So I hope you found these tips helpful. And if you need additional tips, tools, and techniques for your next job interview, then be sure to join us at projectmanager.com.